Welcome to Free My Reviews. This is Chris Johnson, review of Bad Boys for Life. So, Bad Boys for Life is, of course, the long awaited third installment of the Bad Boys series, following 1995's Bad Boys and 2003's Bad Boys 2. Man, I thought that 8-year wait in between Bad Boys 1 and 2 was crazy. Little did I know we were going to have to wait 17 years to see Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett again, to see Will and Martin together again. But I gotta say, it was worth the wait. If I had to pick between waiting 2 years for a mediocre third installment and having to wait 17 years for arguably the best one, you know what? I'm glad it happened the way it did. So let's get to it. So Bad Boys 3's plot, let's just keep it a little simple, is, 17 years later, the bad boys, pretty much men at this point. Well, at least Marcus is. Marcus is ready to settle down, man, Family is expanding. In his 50s now. They're both in their 50s, and Marcus feels it. He ready to retire. Mike trying to be Mike. Mike Lowry. King Dingaling. But once looks like a powerful cartel starts to target people, law enforcement people in the city, Marcus got to come through and help Mike. Because as we all saw in the other two, ride together, die together, bad boys for life. And yeah, that's basically the plot. Now, this is, of course, the first Bad Boys movie that's not directed by Michael Bay. Michael Bay's first film was Bad Boys. And then by the time it was time to make Bad Boys 2, he had fully became the Michael Bay that we all know. He already, done The Rock and Armageddon, Pearl Harbor by that point. So you see a little bit of the difference between Bad Boys 1 and, even though you can see a lot of what will become Michael Bay's trademarks, including the beautiful shot of Will and Martin getting up in slow motion as the camera swirls around them. That would become one of Michael Bay's signatures, but then also one of the Bad Boys movie signatures. But by Bad Boys 2, what his psychoness basically became established and apparent and all that stuff. Bad Boys 2 compared to Bad Boys 1, Bad Boys 2 is psychotic. With the rolling bodies on you get run over, the crazy freeway chase when they're throwing cars and stuff. The little police story action scene at the end, driving through the shacks, and all the explosions from the ethers. Also his kind of broad and crazy psychotic sense of humor, but Bad Boys 1 is a calmer movie, a little bit more heart, a little bit more soul, So that's why I prefer it out of the first two. But I love them both. Bad Boys 2 is nuts. Hey, Bad Boys 2's got some good mayhem. Bayhem, excuse me. Bayhem. So going into Bad Boys 3 and knowing that Michael Bay was not involved or not directing it, because they took too long with the script, and plus he was busy with the Six Underground film that's on Netflix. That movie's nuts, by the way. It's like, okay, how's this one gonna go? But the directors of this one really step up to the plate in understanding why Bad Boys 1 was good, why Bad Boys 2 is good, and kind of mixing what makes Bad Boys 1 work and what makes Bad Boys 2 work. The craziness and epicness of Bad Boys 2. Maybe not as epic as Bad Boys 2, because, like you said, Bayhem. But mixing it with the great heart of Bad Boys 1 and remembering that what makes Bad Boys is Will Smith and Martin Lawrence chemistry and the relationship between their characters, Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett. They're not just best friends, they're brothers. And it doesn't just feel like a line in the movie. It never just felt like lines in the movie. It felt you always felt like that from the word go. From the first time you saw them together in their 20s in Bad Boys 1 in that car, Marcus eating the hamburger and dropping the fries, Will looking all cool, looking like Black Bond, and them arguing with each other, and then getting and those two idiots trying to carjack him, and then they go and Wesley Snipes passenger 57 on their ass. You got that sense of brotherhood, not just friendship, not just buddy cop, but brotherhood. Um, and this one, and seeing the characters older, seeing and one thing I loved is that it kind of remembered the innocence of the back and forth between Mike and Marcus. It gets a little vicious at times in Bad Boys too, because Marcus seemed to always be complaining to the point that it looked like he just didn't like Mike. And I'm like, yo, okay, all right, all right, that's kind of pushing it. That's a little overdoing it, but whatever. But that chemistry was still there though between Will and Martin. So, but this one, it was like, nah, that's it. They may bicker, they may argue, they may get loud with each other, but it's always out of love. It's always out of love. And you gotta remember, man, when we all grew up, like a lot of us, like I was 8 in by late '95, so I was 8 when I saw Bad Boys 1. And most of the action movies I was loving was Die Hard and Terminator and Predator and Rambo and Demolition Man. And most of those movies, think about it, it was mostly white faces. Bruce Willis, Schwarzenegger, Stallone. And then here comes Bad Boys. And unlike Lethal Weapon, and unlike 48 Hours, where they were, white guy, black dude, it was two brothers. A buddy cop movie with two brothers. Two brothers that I was already fans of because of Martin and the Fresh Prince. I was already big fans of Will Smith and Martin Lawrence before that movie. And to see them together in a film, in an action movie, and to be as funny as it was, and to be as cool as it was, they weren't just movie characters to me. They were kings. When they got up in slow motion in the first one, they were kings. When they were chasing that taxi, chasing those scumbags, trying to save Julie, they were kings. So you gotta understand the emotional feeling of seeing these guys after all of these years. It's been 25 years since the first one, 17 years since the second one. It's not just the return of movie characters to me. It's the return of kings to the screen. Legends to the screen. They were hot. They were the new hotness in the first one. The kings now, 25 years later. The legends, 25 years later. And what surprised me so much with this one was you get the laughs that you expect from a Bad Boys movie. You do. But there's a little extra layer to this thing. There's some emotion here. There's some dramatic moments in this movie that I was not expecting, that I was floored by. There's some intense stuff in this movie. And they do not shy away from the factor of age. How long is too long to be a bad boy? When is it time to grow up? When is it time to move on? When is it time to have a family? When is it time to realize this is not the 90s anymore? Maybe you can still do it physically. Maybe. But when is it time mentally to go, let's grow up? Let's get more. And Will and Martin together are still as great as they've ever been, if not greater. And to see Martin return to the big screen, yeah, he was in the Beach Bum last year, but to see him really, really return and to see him bring it like he does in this film, and not only that, to see Will bring it, because he been having a couple of movies. Gemini Man didn't work. Spies in Disguise did, personally. But this movie, even without Michael Bay, the new directors bring it. They bring back the themes from the original. The action is fire. The laughs are on point, and it has even a more mature, dramatic, emotional heart to it that you were not expecting from this movie. Especially a January movie. To get a January movie this good, you don't get January movies this good. Especially a sequel we all been waiting for years. Most of the time, these suckers disappoint. Think about it. Bad Boys 2 came out in 2003. There have been 10 X-Men sequels since then. After X2. Y'all don't know how happy I am to be able to be on here right now and saying how great Bad Boys for Life is. You get hype. You hope for the best. And I do think this has the best story out of the three. And I think that their age adds to that. And I feel like they actually use the fact that their characters are older better than a lot of these sequels that come out decades later and have the characters return. Because a lot of them try to ignore age. Okay, yeah, they'll mention it every once in a while, but this one, it's literally what the movie's talking about. Like you said, maybe it's time to stop being bad boys. It's time to be good men. I wasn't expecting this movie to have a level of deepness, and you'll see when you see the movie, because there's a lot I'm not saying. And yeah, action wise, there's nothing here as crazy as a freeway chase, or as the freeway car throwing chase in Bad Boys 2. But it was like it was mixing the great. In the end, it still mixes the great craziness of Bad Boys 2 with the heart and the charm and the love of Bad Boys 1. And when I was sitting there smiling, listening to the great rendition of Mark Mancina's original Bad Boys 1 themes, thank you, by the way, for bringing that music back. Lauren Balfe, thank you for bringing the themes from Bad Boys 1 back. I'm sitting in a theater, and a brother was literally saw me smiling, I guess, coming while he was walking through the road, and straight up said, "That was the best one. That was the best one." And I just had to nod my head because that that movie was money in a way I wasn't expecting. Hoping for, dreaming for, but to be as satisfied as I was for after such a long wait to see everything, to see a movie blend what you love about the first two films so well after with new directors and such a long wait. You can call it a cash grab, whatever, but you can coming out this movie, you can tell everybody was busting their ass to please the fans, to do what was right for the franchise. And there's a reason why, like I said, the reviews didn't matter. I didn't care about the reviews. One of my friends on Facebook was like, "Oh, I wonder if the reviews will be good." And I was like, "Reviews? Bad Boys? Who cares?" But then the shock of seeing that Bad Boys for Life is the first Bad Boys movie to be fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. First one's in 42 or something like that. Second one's 23. So yeah, I didn't care. I'm a Bad Boys fan. I don't care. But the fact that this one was in the 70s, by the time I'm recording this, man, I commend Will. I commend Martin, the screenwriters, for coming up with the right story, for coming up with the right journey for Mike and Marcus to go on, the directors for not ignoring what we love about Michael Bay's style, because it still has the flash and his certain camera stylings are still there, but mixing in a more genuine heart in some really intense dramatic moments that I was not expecting in this movie, but keeping the beautiful fun set pieces and action scenes that you expect from a Bad Boys movie. Just would make it a little calmer, a little less shaky cam, if they, before I even saw it yesterday, they already announced Bad Boys 4 was in the works. Man, that's the bomb. That's awesome. And let's hope it don't take nearly as long to get that done. Don't want them on the screen in the 70s going, "Bad boys, bad boys, what you gotta do?" Nobody wants to see it. Make this one as soon as possible. Make number 4 as soon as possible. And you know what? Bring those directors back. Because at first, before I saw the movie, I was like, if they do a 4, maybe they should see if Michael Bay will finally will be available. And if they don't take so long, he'll come back. But I feel like the directors of Bad Boys 3 have earned another Bad Boys movie. Most Def. Most Def. I can't believe how this movie delivered, man. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Man, and as a fan of the franchise, as a fan of those first two, as a fan of both of these guys, Martin and Will, for years, since childhood, when they say, and when they say in Bad Boys 2, "Ride together, we die together, Bad Boys for life," you felt it. And you feel it even more here. Because as far as this series is concerned, and the fans, us fans, we do ride together and we do die together. Because we are all bad boys for life.